And welcome back to another episode of the Hella Chisme podcast. My name is Dana, and I'm your host. Hello, 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 everybody. Um, Happy Halloween. This episode was actually, I had originally planned for this episode to come out last Friday, but I thought, why not just do a full-on Halloween episode? So if you're at home for Halloween this year, that's great. Pull up a glass, pull up, come in close, come into the sala, and let's have a chat because we got lots to cover today. Um, Happy Halloween. I hope y'all in having or in being safe. And I do hope that you enjoy what we got going on. Um, but yes, it's a lot going on in the world. How y'all doing out there? What's the tea? Tell me about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. 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 You watching anything good on TV? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. I actually have been rewatching Scandal, which has been great because I feel like um, I have been enjoying living in the delusional world of Olivia Pope and that of Fitzgerald Grant in the White House. I like to tell myself this is what it's like. This is what's happening in the White House rather than what's the bullshit that is actually happening in the White House right now with that orange slice in there. Yeah, it's sometimes comforting, doesn't always work, but it's doing what it needs to be done. And I'm able to take it day by day. You know, it's it has been a little comforting pretending that Olivia Pope and Fitzgerald are the people in the White House, and the foolishness is just that they don't know how to leave each other alone. And Cyrus is, trying to overthrow the government as much as possible, and or Fitz is his presidency. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying pretending that that's what's happening other than what's actually happening. Like all the ICE raids and the cutting off of the girlies' food stamps and or Cal Works, letting people starve. Um, ICE picking up people off the street. Um, which reminds me, by the way, I was scrolling on the Twitter the other day and I saw my first ICE ad, which I was mind blown. It was essentially like the Uncle Sam, We Want You on there. And then it talks about the a 50K bonus and paying up to $60,000 of student loan forgiveness and a 25% premium payment. I was mind blown. Mind blown. Leveraging people's weaknesses in order to get them on board to do evil things to people and their families is crazy work. Crazy work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, and then on top of that, Diane Keaton died. Right after Diane Keaton died, D'Angelo passed away, which mind blown. Mind blown. I sat and watched Diane Keaton movies all Sunday, the day after I found out she had passed. And I will be getting into some D'Angelo because I'm doing some work traveling and revisiting all of that. I haven't really had the time yet, but D'Angelo has always and will always be on heavy rotation for me. So it's nothing new. It's nothing if you really know me, you know that I love listening to some D'Angelo. and I am very sad that that man has passed away. And especially with him having a battle with pancreatic cancer. That is no joke. Um, and rest in peace to him, and also, sending love and good vibes to his family. Um, yeah, so that's very sad. Um, and then all of a sudden, I also saw that Drew and K Michelle apparently had some sort of physical altercation while filming Atlanta Housewives for next season. And I'm just like, what's going on in the world? What's the world coming to? What are we doing? We knew that the Housewife franchise has dabbled into the love and hip hop world. I did not know that it was going to be K Michelle. Um, I must have missed that somewhere, but I mean, you had to know that. I mean, K Michelle's history on on TV has always been a little problematic. She has great music. She can sing her tail off, but the girl is always shaking the table, literally. Um, so that'll be interesting. Because yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting to see if that is the true thing and if that's really what's gonna be rolled out in this new Atlanta Housewives season. That's probably I'm pretty sure it's coming towards the beginning of next year or mid next year. Um, have y'all noticed my nails? So I have Halloween nails. Let's see, is the camera gonna focus? There it goes. So it's kind of cat's eye. Get into the thumb, has like a spider web and a spider on it. And these ones have like skull hands. And then it has a spider and the spider web on that one too. If the camera would focus. Come on, camera, focus. Anyway, you get the picture. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I've been trying this new nail shop called Diva Nails here in San Diego, over in like the La Mesa area. And my girl she's been doing the damn thing. And I'm obsessed. Yeah. She's been giving it to me. And I've been testing her creativity, and she's been she's been laying down the paint and the dip and the cat's eye, and I'm here for all of it. Um, we have lots to talk about. Um, First thing on the docket is Housewives of Potomac. The new season, season 9, I believe. Is this season 9? I have it here somewhere. The new season of Housewives of Potomac has started, and the girls are acting up. But let me make sure what season this is. This season of, oh my gosh, Housewives of Potomac. Whenever I would see Potomac, I used to say Potomac. Oh, it's season 10, sorry. The new season 10 of Housewives of Potomac has aired, honey. We are 3 episodes in. We have Giselle Bryant back. We have Ashley Darby back. Wendy Osefo back. We'll get to her later. Stacey Rush. Kiarna's back. Stewart. And then we have 2 newcomers. We have Tia Glover and Angel Massey. And the girls are kicking the door down. The first episode, Ashley is um she's stepping out in her own. This is her second blossom at her second blossom party. And she essentially is living stepping into that divorce life. She at the end of last season, as you all know, her divorce became final. She was also during the summer on it was the Love Hotel with Giselle, which was a good watch. That was an enjoyable watch. And then she now this season you get to see kind of leading up to that, and some of the things that have happened, and she's fully in her divorce mommy mode. Um, Karen is also not in this season as of yet. I have speculations that she's going to be making some appearance at the end, but as of right now, she has not been seen, and that's where we're at. Um, and the group is processing it. They had like a full-on roundtable discussion about it, and concerns about Karen and what she's doing, where she's at. And because this is essentially 3 months after the last season ended and Karen had been sentenced, and the girls are now just picking up the pieces of her going to jail. Um, Stacy's Stacy's back. I can't tell if Stacy's lying about the whole TJ thing. We know that in the reunion, TJ said what he said about her paying him to be on the show, but I can't say whether I feel like she's lying or not. Now, some of the pieces don't necessarily match up, but I don't want to say that she's lying. I just feel like she's delusional. And this season she is clearly trying to now lead her storyline with her and her husband being back together. And she is standing 2 feet on the fact that her and TJ were actually dating. He was not paid, and he was her boyfriend last season. So that all is still in question. And then we meet our new cast members. So Angel Massey is friends with Kiana. They have been friends for 20 or something years, I think she said. Tia Glover is connected to Giselle. They have some sort of connection and friendship outside of that. And we meet them and they start to get to know the group and connect with the group. And you can see them start to interact at Ashley's second Bloom ball, which is, essentially a house party. And her coming down the stairs, talking about she wants y'all to look at her in her dress and all the things. And she looked great. Then she had this random stripper come out and do some dance with some feathers and things. Um, it didn't make any sense. Um, but things start to actually take a turn because at Ashley's ball, Kiarna confronts Wendy, which essentially Kiarna is saying that she's frustrated with Wendy because she feels like Wendy is being microaggressive, and was being phony when it came to an event that they were supposed to be going to or were both at. And Wendy asked Kiarna if she did her own makeup, and Kiarna took that offensively, which then bleeds over into the second episode because at the end of the first episode, Ashley and Stacy are arguing because essentially Ashley is calling Stacy out, telling her like you're not telling the truth and you're not being straightforward, and you're continuing to lie, and we don't like that. Which, if you've watched the show, you know that Ashley is always the one to try and point out when someone's being untruthful or they aren't keeping that same energy. And Ashley is known for pointing shit like that out. So that concludes when the second episode comes, and Stacy is now trying to continue to connect the timeline of her and her husband getting back together, her and the TJ situation. Stacy admits she has been working on a cannabis brand, the which we know from the reunion, it had got brought up that Stacy was trying to do a brand like Happy Eddie. Um, and she says that she doesn't plan on doing anything like Happy Eddie, but she is doing a cannabis brand. I say let the bitch do what she want to do. She trying to make some money, let her do it. That's fine. Um, and then Angel has her first event, which is a truth and tranquility event where she brings the group together, has something at her house. She serves them vodka tea. And, they have themselves a yang dang doodle. Wendy comes in with her nice blunt cut wig on. Giselle is there, and they um, hang out, listen to sound bowls, and they talk about how bad Stacey's breath is, which poor lady. She is always catching strays from this group. But I can't say that she doesn't bring it upon herself because she puts herself in the line of fire and they just talk about her bad. And I mean, through the whole episode, it was about the bowl of mints, and they put them out because she sometimes needs a little mint. And yeah, I feel bad. Poor Stacy. But at the breakfast, where it was Giselle, Ashley, and who else was sitting next to her? Kiarna. They all go to Karen's little favorite restaurant, and they meet up um, with a friend of Karen's, and they have breakfast at her favorite spot. And then this is where we start to hear about Stacy being introduced to Chris Samuels, which we know is Monique Samuels' ex-husband. And that's when the storyline of where we know at some point Monique is going to make an appearance. So looking forward to that. Episode 3, we dive into this whole chin checking situation because previously, Angel was when Kiana started expressing her annoyance with Wendy and their whole situation. Um, Angel was seemingly heavily taking it for Wendy and was, asking Kiana, did you ask about her son? Because she had claimed that her son was sick and that something was wrong. And so Kiana said, yeah, she got chin checked about that. And as it unfolds, um, I'm not gonna lie, it did seem like Kiana did chin check her because although no, she didn't hit her in the chin or she didn't put her hands on her, but it does sound like, she checked her ass a little bit. Like, how you gonna take up for this bitch and you're not even her friend? We've been friends for X amount of time. And everybody at the table witnessed it when they had their little breakfast or brunch at I can't remember whose house they was at, but they was at somebody's house sitting down eating food, and Kiana was like, "Wait a minute, what's the tea?" Um, so all in all, the season has taken off. People's is getting chin checked. Uh, the new girls so far, I do like Angel, and I think the new chick, what's her name? Um, Tia, she's pretty funny. I feel like I've seen her before, but I can't think of where. But she's a pretty funny girl. I like that she's very cheeky. And I like she's just funny to me. So I think she'll be fun. Wendy and Giselle, I'm happy to see that they're still trying to hold down and keep some sort of friendship or keep some sort of connection. And I think that's good. I'm hopeful to see where it goes, and if they will continue to blossom their friendship somehow. Um, and speaking of Wendy, I'm in shock. I'm in shock. I'm in disbelief. I'm a little bit disappointed. Um, yeah. If you did not know, shortly after the new season of Housewives aired, allegations and the arrest of Wendy and Eddie happened on October the 9th, and they were booked for fraud charges. Um, in April of 2024, the couple reported a burglary at their home in Fredericksburg, Maryland, saying that the numerous designers like handbags, jewelry, clothing, shoes were stolen while they were on a trip in Jamaica. And then they reported that was a loss of a sizable um, claim that was about $450,000. And it was a personal property loss. And they reported this to their insurance. Then what happened was allegedly they saw Wendy wearing one of the rings that she reported to be lost and one of the necklaces she reported to be lost. They had also stated that they had gotten the items back. But what my understanding is that before they reported the items had come back, she was already caught wearing the items. So right now, Wendy is facing to be indicted on 7 felony counts of insurance false information fraud, 8 misdemeanor counts of conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and 1 misdemeanor for false statement to the police. Eddie is being indicted on 9 felony counts, 8 misdemeanors of conspiracy, insurance fraud, and 1 misdemeanor of false statement to the police. And the reason that Eddie is having more charges than Wendy is because they also apparently had got caught with text messages of Eddie texting Wendy asking if there was more, what other things could we essentially get money back for. And when I tell you from the first episode, not the first episode, I'm sorry. No, yes, from the first episode where we meet Wendy, Wendy has stood on, honesty, um, has made jokes about, other girls doing fraudulent stuff. And for her to be in the mix of this now is kind of annoying, especially for her to be like big Dr. Wendy with all these degrees. You would think she would be smart enough to know how to properly commit fraud. Dana, why'd you say that? What you mean? Girl, like, what are we doing? You mean all those degrees didn't make you to be smart enough to know not to have your husband texting you about some trying to commit more fraud? What are we doing? Why not wait until y'all got home to see each other to have that conversation? Why would you then go to an event and wear the exact same ring and items that you done already reported stolen? Why not put them in a safe and maybe wait, I don't know, 2, 3 years and then wear it again and go buy something else because you got more money, you got money off of it. So go buy something different. I don't know. Is it just me? I don't know. The investigators say that the scene of the burglary had multiple inconsistencies. For example, the alleged point of entry, which was a bathroom window, required stepping on a toilet and showed no sign of debris or disturbance. Some of the items claimed to be stolen had in fact been previously returned for full refunds before alleged theft. A photo of Wendy wearing a diamond anniversary ring that had been listed among the stolen items was found, taken after the reported theft. Insurance records indicate overlapping of or multiple claims and omissions, such as failing to disclose insurance with one company when making a claim with another. So these motherfuckers was double dipping. Currently, the couple has been released on bond, so they did get released on bond for about $50,000 each while the cases continue to move forward. And they have publicly made statements. The most interesting part about this is that when they got right before they got arrested, I was seeing a couple of posts that clearly she was boosting, which I feel she was boosting because she knew this was about to come out on social media. So it was like a bunch of other posts happening, and then this finally came out on TMZ. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. No, I absolutely don't want them to be in trouble for any of this. I actually really like Wendy, even though, some people may think she's stuck up, people think she's, a little bitchy, but I actually really like Wendy, and I love the fact that, she has stood on business uh the entire time she's been on Housewives of Potomac. And I don't want any of this to be true. And not only do I not want this to be true, I really hope it's just a misunderstanding. But the facts that I'm looking at here seems like that may not be the case, which is really annoying. So I guess we'll see. Um, we also supposed to be finding out this season this whole tea with Giselle and Mauricio, which why? Why why are there even any questions about Giselle and Mauricio even doing anything? For what? I know Mauricio fine. We all know Mauricio fine, but Giselle, why? We know that he shows up in the trailer. We know that, they gonna be out somewhere and we see him. Um, but I'm just like, no. Giselle addresses it in a interview, and she says he is a amazingly beautiful man. And she said she would not date him because of girl code, because of Kyle Richards, which, yeah. But also just like, go find somebody else. Like, why would it need to be Mauricio? And why, I also just don't feel like, I feel like my question for the producers is why? For what? We don't need Mauricio to make Giselle pop or for the Housewives of Potomac to do something other than what it's already doing. We don't need any of that. We don't need none of that to be crossed over. We don't need we don't need him to need that Housewives of Potomac for him to be popping. He has a popping show on Netflix. He got his own shit going on. We don't need any of that. We can keep this where they are separate. Thanks. Um Some outlets claim that there was a secret meeting of some kind behind scenes. a scenario where Mauricio and Giselle met up while his divorce was ongoing, and which they suggest could be a fame boosting romance. Exactly my point. No, let's keep it. We don't need any of that for neither one of them. They're gonna be fine apart. Um. So, and again, Giselle says she wouldn't date him for girl code. She claims the cameo and the meeting in Aspen was simply a bump into and nothing formally romantic. Just no. That's all I gotta say about it. Let's leave it where it is. Leave Mauricio where he is. It's a no for me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm not even interested in the storyline at all, honestly. Next, um, Love is Blind season 9. Hmm. Love is Blind season 9. Hmm. Love is Blind season 9. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. This season was set in Denver, Colorado, where they again had 32 singles, aging from the range of like 27 to 41. And you know, the story goes, they all hope to fall in love, be married at the end, and prove that love is blind. We ended up with one, two, three, four, five, six couples engaged. So it was Allie and Ashton. I mean, sorry, Allie and Anton, Calabria and Edmund, Megan and Jordan, Casey and Patrick, Annie and Nick, and Madison and Joe. Allie and Anton get engaged the very first episode. They, I mean, seemingly in the pods, clearly like fell head over heels for each other. And Anton was all about Ali. I mean, she's a gorgeous girl. He didn't know that, but she's a gorgeous girl. He's a fairly attractive Russian man. His eyes used to they challenged me because his pupils would be like as large as the O's on my hands right now. If you're watching this, like his pupils used to be so dilated, like to the point to where I almost thought that he was like doing cocaine while filming this show. I was like, oh my God, his pupils are huge. Um, but they fell in love. First episode, got engaged immediately. Was the very first couple to get engaged. Um, and I for sure, you know, was like, they gonna do the damn thing. Got out of the pods. Um, you know, lived together. Well, went to their trip to Mexico. I think it was Mexico. Yeah, Mexico. Had a good time. Still seemingly, you know, enjoy one another. Uh, and things as work became a thing. It turns out he was a truck driver. She's a nurse that works nights. So their schedules were colliding at that point. Like they're both working nights. They're really seeing each other during the day. Um, because when one's they're both up all night coming home from work early in the morning and then wanting to come home and go to sleep, but they're filming this show. So, you know, it was, and then the drinking was a thing apparently for Allie, but turns out I think that was a thing from her mom. Her mom didn't like nobody that drank alcohol, which okay. Um, and I don't know. I didn't really feel like genuinely the drinking was alcohol because the alcohol was a problem for them. Because they both drank. Um, I as uh as one influencer would say, I think she was just pissed because when she got ready to have herself a drink, there was nothing for her to drink. Which I believe. I think that's true. I feel like she would get home from work, this motherfucker sat and he done had three margaritas before she can come home and have one. She's pissed. Um, on one of the episodes, they were out with Anton and his one of his best friends and the girlfriend who had been dating his friend for like 3 weeks. And this girl in the bathroom told her that Anton's a party boy. They like to go to strip clubs. They be out just doing it real big in the strip clubs and they be getting drunk and doing drugs and etc. And I think after that, Allie was like, oh, nah, this ain't the one for me. And so when they got to the altar, he said yes, she said no, and then that fell apart. Um, I do think it was their day-to-day lives. I think her friends got in her head too because they were like essentially like he's a truck driver and he's poor. And I do think, the values of her mom and how her mom thinks she should live her life and how who she thinks she should be was an issue and became more and more of an issue. And I think that led to her saying no. Calabria and Edmund. Calabria and Edmund. Edmund was exhausting to watch on TV. And then it was even more exhausting to watch them together. I for sure wanted them to try, which they did. But what started to become abundantly clear to me when it came to the two of them was that Edmund had a lot of unhealed trauma. And I mean, that boy cried. I he cried too much for me on national TV. The mirt that he let out when he knew she was about to say no to him was sent me through the moon. I cackled very loudly. Um, but my girl tried. She tried very hard to stay in it. But I'm glad she said no at that altar because there was no way they were going to be able to last. I mean, Edmund has some sort of emotional instability, and she clearly is not able to deal with someone like that, especially with her working in the field that she works in. Um, so I'm glad they said no. Uh, with the fact that also he clearly was behind the cameras, things were happening. He wasn't communicating properly. He was being super argumentative. He was being very cold and icy to her when they weren't on camera. And then when the cameras would be on, he'll be, "Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you," very love bomby. And she didn't like that shit to the point to where she called him a bitch at the top of at the top of the mountain. And I mean, when she called him a bitch, I was like, "Girl, you showing your colors on this TV." Because I knew she had it in her. I could tell. So I wasn't surprised by any of that. Um, and then even when he acted a stone cold fool in Mexico, when she told him that he was not getting none after they had went to that event and he heard everybody else was getting some nookie and he hadn't got none, and she was like, she was like, I'm confused at why you are sitting here acting like this. And he was in that bed crying, boohoo crying, talking about, I can't get it. I can't get it. Nigga, you crying in this woman's face because she ain't getting you no pussy, boy. Whew. I'm happy they did not end up together. That was too much. Um, Megan and Jordan should have never proposed, should have never walked out, and should have Jordan should have never proposed to Megan. He knew he did not want to be with her, especially when he saw her. And no, I'm sorry, wrong couple. Megan and Jordan, Sparkle Meg and poor Jordan. I mean, both of those literally. Um, I thought they were going to actually make it. They did not even make it to the altar. And I was very surprised, but I think the problem was Jordan Jordan has a kid. He is a working dad trying to provide for his child and didn't want to depend on Megan to be the breadwinner and to take care of everything. He still wanted to work and wanted to work hard, whereas Megan wanted him to essentially be her show monkey and to come home from work and take trips, make her laugh all day, and pat her on the ass and make her feel better. He like, I got a child and I got to go to work, girl. I got responsibilities. Um, I'm sad that they didn't work out though. Casey and Patrick. Whoa. Before I start in on them, I have to tell you that this was the most sex driven season of Love is Blind that I've ever watched. The amount of talking about big dick energy, small dicks, dick sizes, and then Casey essentially having pod sex with Patrick and talking about how much she wants to sit on him and how much she wants to mount him and how when she sees him she thinks she's just gonna jump on him, talking about she's just getting hot by thinking about it. I'm like, baby girl, like what what is happening here? I was I was in shock. Like it was almost in I had to pause it and watch it in sections because it was hard to watch in certain points because I was just like, why are we doing this on TV? And on top of that, she talked about how she had a boyfriend right before coming into the pods, that they didn't necessarily break up, that, oh, he's just waiting for me to come back. And I'm like, who let you on this show? Like how did you even make it through casting if you have a boyfriend back at home that you are openly talking about and you over here on a show that is supposed to be where you get married at the end? Confusion. Then he pops the question to her, which he should have never did. I wish that the other girl, I don't remember her name, but she was an Asian, she was a Filipino girl too. They were perfect. They would have definitely made it. But homegirl ran off for whatever reason. He popped the question to her. They get to the hotel where they see each other, go to the hotel where they're waiting to go to Mexico. Homegirl is boohoo crying, talking about, I can't do it. I can't do it, and then told him that she was gonna keep the ring. She kept the ring and told him it wouldn't be fair for me to give you back the ring because you gave it to me. That bitch went and pawned that ring. You know she did. You know she did. You know it. She went and pawned that ring, got the money for it, and shared it with her boyfriend. Raggedy bitch. Annie and Nick. Annie got some drinking problems. She forever loved to get drunk and talk shit to Nick and talk about how he didn't really love her. And Nick was the most calmest and just seemingly easy to get along with. Nobody in the group liked Nick though, because he was an asshole, which I'm not surprised. Um, so yeah, but they ended up breaking up. They never made it to the altar because they kept arguing. They kept arguing, and it didn't work out. Um, I also think, when you're around the rest of the group, it makes things a little sticky because the girls are clearly, everybody is close with each other, and the girls were with one another, the boys with one another, and I think it doesn't help to see how the other couples are getting on when you may not be getting on with each other in the same way. I also think what that sometimes what they don't talk about enough is how some couples or some of the people, how they can be different when it comes to affection. They don't talk about that. But we can't expect them to because they're also in their 20s. Like, if it's not a conversation that came up for you before, then why would you talk about it now? Mason and Joe, Madison and Joe, sorry. Joe is who I was actually talking about earlier when I said he should have never went with that girl because he did not think she was attractive at all. And not only did he not think she was attractive, I think he might be a little. He's a pretty boy. I mean, clearly gets Botox. He gets that face pulled back. Them eyebrows are snatched. Um, Yeah, but I don't think Joe definitely didn't like Madison, and I don't think he likes any Madisons of the world, if you know what I mean. This, however, um, was the first season ever where no one got married. They were all no's at the altar. Um, and so now that the season has wrapped, uh, people are saying that Love is Blind is for the drama instead of, getting people married and having people fall in love. I can't say that I disagree. I think for the last couple of seasons that I've talked about while I've been doing this show, I've said that there is some things amiss. Um, I don't know if it starts with casting. I don't know um, if it's maybe social media and or media in general and what they want or what they're wanting to see, but it's not what it was. Uh, you know, like when Cameron and oh my God, I always forget her name. When Cameron and um the first couple that was on Love is Blind, they just had a baby, by the way. Shout out to them. When they first were on the show, and it was like a couple, I think it was like four people said yes in that season. And then shortly after that, they were trending about three or four each season for a little while. But by the time we got, I feel like to season 6 and 7 was when we start to see things kind of dwindle. And it's kind of hard to watch because, you know, I want it to be about the romance and love and getting people married and helping people find relationships and helping people connect, but we've lost that. It's not there anymore. Um, and it does look like that it's fully scripted and it's about the drama now. And that's kind of whack to me. So The next season, I don't know if I'm going to be watching. I might have to actively try to dodge it and take it off my radar. Now, we talked about Love is Blind UK. I might watch another season of that, although, this season was pretty sketchy too with the bullshit. Um, and they tried it on a couple of different episodes as well. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, I hope that they can find, maybe they should take a year off and take some time to find their next couples and then, like vet them, interview them, really do some true matchmaking, and then come back for a season 10. And hopefully it'll be a little bit more of a success with the couples. I also think it's time for them to throw a gay couple in there some way, somehow. I'm tired of these straight people. I think we can make it happen. Why not? I mean, if you want some drama, bring some faggots up in there. You're gonna get the drama. Um, yeah. Well, that's it for this portion of the show. I have a surprise for you all. I'm gonna take a break and I'll be right back. And we are back. So this week for Halloween, I've done something special. I have written my own spooky story. Um, I wanted to the 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 reason that I also wanted to do this on Halloween was because I knew that I wanted to write a Halloween story, and I just thought it would make sense to connect it to and write it and then record the show and do it for Halloween. So I did. It took me a little minute to get it done, but I did finish it. And I'm pretty happy. I'm happy with it. And I think y'all, so I hope you guys will enjoy. Keep in mind that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So this is the echoes of the Sapphire Circle. For their annual Halloween special, the hosts of the Four Cs podcast, Courtney, Chase, Camren, and Casey, decided to combine business with pleasure. It was Cameron's 30th birthday, and to celebrate, the four friends rented a glass fronted cabin buried deep in the forests of South Lake Tahoe. The plan was simple: record a weekend of laughter, turn up energy, and one unforgettable spooky episode for their fans. The drive up was loud with music and inside jokes. Courtney, tall and majestic, teased Chase about overpacking. Chase, always composed behind his tattoos and bass smooth voice, answered with a grin that told everyone they'd done this dance before. Casey, quiet behind his camera, filmed the snow dusted trees sliding past, already thinking about the audio levels. Cameron, the birthday boy, HR nerd, and the heart of the group, kept fussing with his glasses and a folder of notes for the Halloween content. They arrived at the cabin and immediately took the beauty of the floor to ceiling windows and the breathtaking views of the snow-capped mountains. By the time the sun dropped, the cabin looked like a movie set. Lights strung up on the deck, candles flickering on the table, microphones balanced on folded towels, and they were ready to go. The air smelled of pine and tequila, and the celebration had begun. Shot o'clock, Tahoe edition, Courtney called. Cameron laughed and raised his glass. Okay, but first, tell me this isn't the perfect place for a séance. They all groaned and half playful, half weary. But it was tradition. Every Halloween, the Four Seas tested some kind of supernatural legend for their listeners. This year's gimmick came from an obscure online file labeled Transmissions from the Sapphire Circle. According to the Post, it was a centuries old ritual performed by poets and aristocrats who believed the human voice could bridge the world of the living and the dead. They thought it sounded ridiculous, but also perfect for content. Everything was set to record the episode. They started their episode off as normal and welcomed their audience back for another episode of the Four Seas podcast. During the cut of the first segment, they arranged their candles and formed a salt circle for drama. It was now time for the main event, and they started recording again and began to read the chant. The words rolled strangely off their tongues, somewhere between Latin and song. As they finished the final line, the microphones picked up a breath that no one had taken. A whisper, barely audible beneath the static, sighed one word: finally. Everyone froze. Then Chase laughed, claiming feedback. They ended the segment with a joking outro and shut off the lights. What they didn't know was that the recorder never stopped. The next morning, their phones exploded. Comments poured in. Did anyone else hear that at 12 minutes and 47 seconds? Why did my screen flash blue? This episode drained me. I literally felt dizzy after. Courtney beamed. Viral numbers meant success. The others were less than thrilled. Casey noticed the raw audio file was strange, which had timestamps like from 1743, not from 2025. The waveform itself seemed to pulse like a living heartbeat. Camren tried to drown them. Camren tried to ground them. We were tired, that's all. Maybe the signal bounced weird in the mountains. But when he replayed the outro, the music ran backwards, whispering syllables that didn't sound like English. That night, Chase's reflection lagged half a second behind him in the bathroom mirror. Cameron saw a shadow move across the cabin wall when no one stood there. And when Courtney glanced at his own selfie on the camera screen, his eyes flashed an impossible sapphire blue. He brushed it off and thought maybe it was just a filter or even lighting. Casey's mind started to race and he decided to do some research. He found some very interesting information. The Sapphire Circle had been real, a secret society of the 18th century artists whose beauty and charisma enslaved audiences. They fed on admiration and blood alike. Their performances were said to leave spectators weak, sometimes dead, while the circle members shone brighter, their eyes turning jewel blue. The last record of them was in 1928 during a radio séance that ended in a mass disappearance. Casey was shocked with what he had read and shared it with the group, but they were all still hungover from the night before and didn't pay him any mind. The group paid it and they continued their trip. By the third night, the air in the cabin felt thick. It was charged. Courtney's voice had changed. It was lower, silkier, like a trained singer. When he spoke, everyone listened, and they seemed as if they were in a trance. Chase noticed it first. Babe, he said quietly, you sound, you sound different. Courtney smiled, slow and sure. You mean better. Later, when the others argued over deleting the files, Chase followed Courtney into the hallway. Moonlight spilled through the tall windows, catching his eyes again. Two flawless gems. Court, Chase whispered, you look different. Yes, Courtney said. half smiling. I am. He stepped closer, one hand on Chase's chest, and he said, "Tell me I'm beautiful." Chase hesitated, caught between fear and fascination. "You are," he replied. "Tell me you love me." "I do," he said. Courtney leaned in, his voice almost reverent. "Good." There was no scream, no violence, only a sharp breath, a moment of silence, and the faintest tremor in the air, as if something had taken a sip from the sound itself. When Casey rushed in, Chase was pale but breathing. Courtney stood over him, calm and radiant, eyes glowing like stars reflected in the water. Blood running down Chase's neck, he was gasping for air and convulsing. Casey was confused and drained. "Courtney, what happened?" Casey asked. "I got hungry," as he replied, looking over his shoulder at his next victim. Casey, while in shock, looked over at the laptop on the table, looked at the laptop on the table and noticed it was already uploading a new file. The Seance That Never Ended Part 2. He ran to the front room and told Camren it was time to go. They fled into the night, hearts pounding, headlights cutting through the mist. Yet halfway down the mountain, the car stereo turned on by itself. "Welcome back to the Four Seas. So good to see you again." They killed the engine. The forest pressed in around them. Then dozens of voices, elegant and layered, whispered through every speaker. "Don't leave the stage." They were back at the cabin. They didn't remember how they had got back to the place they had just left. The place glowed with candles, with candlelight, though none of them had touched a match. Figures shimmered in the corners of the beautiful half solid through the corner in figures shimmered in the corners of the beautiful house. Half solid people dressed in silks and lace. A woman figure shimmered behind Courtney. His eyes looked like polished gems as he smiled. "You opened the door," she said through Courtney's mouth. "We only walked through." The Sapphire Circle had returned, not as ghosts, but as something reborn through sound. Their voices were mesmerizing, the kind that slid straight into the spine. Chase stepped forward from behind Courtney as if he was drawn by gravity. "Take me," he whispered. The woman only smiled wider. "We don't take," she said. "We become." What happened next? Blurred. There were flashes of blue light, thousands of whispers crowding the air, the hum of the microphones recording everything. When the silence finally came, dawn had touched the pines, and the group sat motionless around the tables, eyes open and glowing. For weeks it seemed to end there. Then one morning, listeners woke up to a notification. New episode available. The Seance That Never Ended, Part 3. The file opened with a single trembling voice from one of the hosts, maybe Casey, maybe Camren. "If you're hearing this," the voice said, "stop. Don't listen. They are in the signal. We thought microphones were recorded. They fed." The voice steadied, softened, and changed, becoming smooth, melodic, impossible. "Thank you," it said gently, "for your devotion, for your listens, for your love." The outro music began to play, only backwards this time, while a chorus of faint whispers wove through the static. "You listened. You invited us in. And with that, the feed and the seance never truly ended. The end. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this Halloween episode as much as I've enjoyed putting it together for you, as much as I enjoyed writing that story. Um, I hope to do more things like that. As I've been doing more writing, and as if you've been listening to the show for some time, you know that I have taken classes and I've been I've been working on um, doing more writing, doing more developing stories, and wanting to do more storytelling. So this was kind of my first step into that. And, I hope you enjoy. To wrap up the episode, we are, of course, I pulled a card. I pulled the ballerina card from the the Prosperity Mantras deck. And let's see what it says. If I can find it. The messenger, the mother, the ballerina. Let's see. Is it a table of contents? Um, I still need to read through this deck because it has, it's almost like a full-on tarot deck with some of the you can, I guess I'll just say suits for right now. Some of the suits that it has. So, and then some of it is like color coded. Um, which is pretty interesting. Um, okay. If I can't find it, oh, here it is. There we go. 'Cause just when I was about to give up. All right. So the card says, I am patient because I know what I seek is coming in divine timing. It says, number one, approach your ambitions, work, and community with elegance, poise, and attention to detail. Cultivate in your actions, making deliberate choices and seeking alignment. Embrace the qualities of a ballerina to manifest prosperity through focused discipline, artistic expression, refined execution, and grace. Yes, ma'am. Embrace the process rather than focusing on the outcome. This will bring greater satisfaction, patience, and stamina. Savor each step, find delight in small victories, and growth along the way. Think of what a ballerina must have experienced to assume their title. And lastly, finding equilibrium physically and emotionally can positively impact your journey towards success. Prioritize habits that promote inner harmony by nurturing balance. You will move through life with grace and agility. And the writing prompt says, what is your intentions? Or what is your intentions and role in guiding you towards truth and alignment? How can you use it as a compass in your decision making? So this is interesting because as I, do different things and make different changes to the show, and as I've been, taking the time to release the episodes and the content, I can definitely see the difference. I can see the difference in engagement. I can see the difference in how the audience, how you as the audience is taking in the content. And I love it. I think it was the best decision to take this show and to um, do more creating of the episodes rather than focusing on pumping out content every week. And I'm hoping that, like the card says, that doing that, taking the time, doing it with grace, excuse me, um, will help the growth and add stamina to what I'm doing here. Um, so yeah, thank you for listening this week. Happy Halloween. Stay safe out there. And I will be back and can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see and talk to you next time. Bye.